in trauma, sometimes some other stuff can happen. When people think about trauma, usually they think about something terrible, an experience of fear, right? But sometimes it can be trauma with other stuff.
Yeah.
It can be, like sex abuse in childhood.
Yeah.
And Andy was telling me that it changes the pathway in the brain, basically, and having a brain that is so young, being stimulated this way, it can create a high that really leaves an imprint, right? And then it becomes the adults, the human being's mission to experience that high one more time, right? And it's completely, it's a battle that is already lost in advance, right? Because that person cannot experience the high experience when he was 6 years old, because his brain is the brain of a 30 years old now. So it's impossible to experience that high ever again. But the problem is that high was so good that it becomes addictive. Like Kelvian was saying, it's like giving cocaine to a child, basically. And there is so much guilt and shame that comes with that, right? Because there is this element of, feeling dirty, for having this thing inside. And it's very existential, to a point of wishing this thing never happened, and wondering if, so is there, like, for people who've been through that, right? And who are struggling with this, where is the hope for them? What can they do?
I'm thinking the first priority is to introduce myself to that child and ask that child for permission to be let into his or her life for the purpose of healing from these very bad experiences. And then, of course, along the way, then to try to help the adult form of the individual to also then be connected to the younger child. There is a saying, and I think it's probably researched and quite true, that pain, how do I say it? Traumatic experiences and the wound that remains often happens in a relationship. And so when that wound is not taken care of, for healing to happen, it must also take place in the context of a relationship. And oftentimes, the therapist is that first nurturing different relationship for the wounded child. And again, the idea is to then also help the adult to be in that healing relationship for their wounded self. There needs to be a whole lot of processing and sort of undoing as best as possible the damage that's done when a child experiences sexual abuse. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of material. But so you can't rush the process. Yeah.